As the corporate sector evolves, Berkha Africa remains committed to cultivating world-class thought leaders and providing innovative, human-centered solutions that shape a prosperous future for African governments and businesses. About Berkha Africa. Berkha Africa is a platform that houses expert consultants from across the African sub-region that provide strategic sustainable leadership, organizational development, corporate governance, coaching, and ESG advisory services to businesses and African governments. Berkha's strategic thrust is to strengthen strategic alignment for Africa's development by bridging the gap between governments, businesses, and industry experts for leadership and business solutions, serving as a center for excellence and transformative leadership insights in Africa. The consortium is dedicated to shaping ethical, visionary, productive, and sustainable businesses and leadership across Africa. Through advisory, training, and coaching, Berkha supports executives, managers, and organizations in achieving excellence, growth, and sustainable impact. Visit our website www.berkhafrica.com for more information.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. This is the maiden edition of Leadership Dialogue webinar series. My name is Senyo Yao Kluchedo, and once again, welcome. Today, we are going to delve into an interesting topic, a topic which is more or less rarely talked about when it comes to transformation, especially in the African continent. And so we have a lot of ways by which we talked about innovation, etc. But with time, research has shown that one of the ways by which transformation can occur, either personally, organizationally, and then in the national development as a whole, is coaching. No, not what you were thinking, not football coaching, coaching. And so to help us today, we are going to talk about coaching, a powerful tool for personal, organizational, and national transformation. And today we are going to talk with some seasoned coaches. Once again, not football coaches. You get to understand what it's all about when we kickstart our conversation. And today I have with me in online Dr. Irene Olumisi and then Susan Ander. So these are coaches. They are formidable coaches that you get to hear from them soon. So let's start with Dr. Irene. So Dr. Irene is a certified Dr. Irene Olumisi. Correct me if I don't get the pronunciation wrong. She will do certainly so, and then gently she would. So certified coach, certified professional trauma and transformational coach. That's interesting, right? Trauma transformational coach. We would get to hear more from her. Why that angle? And so she's also a trauma-informed care specialist, an integrated family and couples therapeutic counselor. Wow. An author, an inspirational speaker, and has a lot of experience when it comes to delving with women and children. That is Dr. Olumisi. And on the other hand, we have the babbling Susan. Very, very interesting personality. She is indeed the founder and CEO of Catalyst Hub. Catalyst Hub. She's also a master certified transformational coach. So in other words, we all have something in common here, coaches, transformational coaches. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Irene and Susan. Irene, Susan, you're welcome.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Okay, great. So, Irene, Susan, thank you for honoring this program with honoring Berkha Africa. And we know that you women are very busy, but you've taken time off your schedules to let us have this conversation. I mean, the whole world is waiting to see you, to hear you on the topic coaching, a powerful tool for personal, organizational, and national transformation. So I'm very curious, just as us, our audience who are joining us online in LinkedIn, um, all the social media platform, LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, and even through our website, www.berkhaafrica.com. And so, what exactly is coaching? Because I'm thinking football coaching. I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, so Irene, could you help us? What exactly is coaching?
All right. Big question. I think the first thing that I would say is what coaching is not.
Great.
And coaching is not therapy, right? And there's a reason why I'm saying this up front because first and foremost, Africans tend to be adverse to therapy from what we've seen. And so I need to put it out there that coaching is not therapy and coaching is not mentoring. Coaching is actually a way of supporting an individual to experience or engage in thinking differently. It's about helping an individual to clarify what they want, who they want to be, what they desire, and to have a sense of awareness of where they are in the moment and what will support them to go to where they want to be. Another way in which we can define coaching is that process in which someone begins to see differently a situation that seems to have, been seems to be in their blind side, where they are unable to understand how they are processing that situation. So coaching facilitates that process in which they gain clarity, overcome limiting beliefs, and begin to take necessary action that is sustainable to achieve the transformation that they desire. But it starts with a change, a shift in the mindset, a shift in the way of thinking, and a
Mhm.
shift in the way of perceiving how they are experiencing that situation.
Great. A shift in the mind of thinking, the shift in the mind of the way they perceive their current situation. That's intriguing. Susan, what do you have to say to this? Any add-ons? Because it looks like Dr. Irene has just taken off, and we have to catch up with her. What do you have to say with coaching? She says coaching is not consulting or therapy. So what do you have to say?
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Irene, for starting off with what coaching is actually not. Because once we know what it is not, we can focus on what it is. I love that you use the words transformation and change. And following on from that, I'm going to share with you a quote from Anel Bézier, who really talked about the paradoxical nature of change, where he defines change as being more of who you are rather than who you are not.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, captures the essence of coaching, because it is a tool that empowers and supports others and organizations to be more of who they are, to be more in alignment with their true, authentic selves. It empowers them, as Irene says, to reach their goals. And we do this through a structured conversation where we work again around the client's desire to move forward in their lives in order to achieve their goals, their ambitions. And over here, I want to add that it may not always be a challenge. Oftentimes it's a challenge the client may have. It may even be a problem, but sometimes it's also around opportunities that have presented themselves to our clients. So I think that is what I would add on. For me, it's really about supporting people to be in full alignment so that they can live their best lives as their true, authentic selves.
Okay, great. So we have transformation, a shift in mind, supporting people, which is very, I mean, in my mind now, I'm seeing the clear distinction with consulting, with the mentoring. It's a special place where individuals are not made to follow some sort of laid down procedures, but then they are the ones who pretty much want that change, because I don't think coaching can ever happen if the individual himself doesn't want the change, doesn't want it to be transformed. I like who I am. Why do I need a coach? And this links up to the next question. Even before I go to the next question, so if our viewers are watching from any of the social media platforms, just send your names and then where you're watching from, drop in a question, a comment, and there'll be a segment for that. We'll be reading through these ones out. And having said that, why is it that in Africa, there are no many coaches? The challenges and misconceptions, as you rightly put out there. But what is so particular about the African continent that rejects coaching? I mean, we could have a lot of coaches quite in Europe, in other places, but particularly in on the African continent. Per my perception, per what I've seen, we don't have too many coaches. Why is that so? If especially coaching is to help transform and actually the person or the organization, unless I'm mistaken, but are there coaches, let's say, in Nigeria, in Ghana? And if so, like I am lost. Are there coaches?
There are.
Yes, there are.
There are
Okay.
a lot in the continent, actually. I think what we're missing yet is an opportunity for us to have a coalition to know where we are, who we are. Because, I mean, from what I have perceived, I've seen, especially with fellow coaches, I believe that there are quite a number of coaches in the continent, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in the Eastern Bloc. At least I am aware of the numbers in the Eastern Bloc and in the Western Bloc. And but I think what is missing is a system or a structure that allows all of us to come into the same space and speak to one another. I do remember that there was some sort of a compilation that was being done sometimes last year, a directory of coaches in the African continent. And I haven't seen the final product, but I think it's out somewhere there. And that is supposed to get that product on which coaches in the continent can begin to, collaborate with one another so that we know who is where.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So, how can coaching help individuals in everyday life, whether as parents, workers, youth, or youth leaders? How relevant is coaching in this regard, Susan?
Thank you, Senyo. I just want to go back one step to address the rejection, as you put it, of coaching. I don't think it's so much as a rejection as awareness. And coaching as a profession is really growing exponentially on the continent. There are several, so coaching is governed by a body known as the International Coaching Federation. And there are chapters there's a chapter in Ghana, there's a chapter in Nigeria, there's a chapter in South Africa, I'm sure there's a chapter in Kenya. So it is there, and there is a growing acceptance of, yes, there's a growing acceptance of coaching where organizations are actually seeking not only coaches, but credentialed coaches, which means that they are actually aware of our governing body, which is the International Coaching Federation. Now to your question as to, is it about how coaching works in real life? Is that the question?
Yes. How helpful is it? How relevant is coaching
Yeah.
to here?
Yes. So the relevance for me, and I think generally in the profession, is that it really supports people to take 100% ownership of their own lives, where you're not playing the blame game. It supports personal growth. And as Irene said, it's once you see that, once you get that shift in perspective and get a sense of heightened awareness, what happens after that? You learn. It deepens your learning. And with that learning, you're able to use that emerging understanding to create forward action and take and make informed decisions.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new world truly opens up for you.
Mm.
And the insights and the shifts that happen truly have, I know perhaps we're overusing the word, but it truly does have a transformational and oftentimes a sustainable impact on you. I personally, I've been coached by a master coach, and
Okay.
through that process, it supported me to see myself differently. And the minute I saw myself differently, I realized, the power within myself to implement and effect the change I wanted. So even in organizational settings, imagine a place where each individual is working from, how do I put this? Number one is taking ownership and taking initiative, right? And being innovative. Yeah,
Right.
because of what they know that they can bring to the table. It's not about anybody else.
Right. Okay. So it means that coaching starts from the individual, then it moves up to, let's say, the organization, and then perhaps it moves up to maybe a broader sense, it becomes a national agenda. Then it's a big deal. Really, I mean, it's a big deal. So I'm thinking, so Irene, Susan's made mention of something that I caught my attention.
Yeah.
She had a coach. So
Yeah.
coaches do have coaches. It means everyone needs a coach then.
Yes, absolutely. And, if I may first add to what Susan just shared, it is incredible what happens when you are coached by someone who is skillful, who sees you as a whole person. And one of the things that coaches bring to the table is helping you to understand, see yourself as resourceful, as creative. And what we say that the client is the master, the expert of their own story. And what coaches do is they facilitate that process that helps you to recognize what is in you, what you have inherent in you that is in your blind side that you did not know. When the first time that I experienced coaching, it was life transforming for me because I was struggling with a lot of stuff, trying to juggle so many things. And my coach said to me, in all the balls that you're juggling, what is that crystal ball that you cannot afford to drop? That moment, just pausing and reflecting on what is the crystal ball that I could not afford to drop, helped me to realize what is most important to give my attention. And that has transformed the way that I manage my many multiple roles recognizing just that one session alone was so transformational because it gets you into a place that shifts your thinking process. When you are able to shift the way of thinking, you elevate the person's ability to learn lessons from that experience that they can then apply. Now, the power of coaching, I can spend a whole day talking about it because there are lessons that, competencies that you gain, even as a coach, training to become a transformational coach, that becomes applicable in every sphere of your lives. Recently, we had a conversation about transformational coaching and marriage, how the coaching skills can also help in our marriages. For example, what if we all learn to practice active listening in our
That would be
marriages?
fantastic. That would be fantastic.
What would change if we maintain presence and we see our spouse as a whole person who does not need to be fixed? He begins to see the frame of, my way of thinking, how coaching can become applicable at the personal level in different spheres of our lives. And when we take that wholeness that we gain through coaching into teams, what difference would it make if a team begins to see that each member of the team has something to bring to the table? And we recognize that and celebrate that. How would that change the atmosphere in that office, in that
Wow,
organization? And we can keep taking it up that way.
great. Interesting. So talking about that, everywhere, I think Berkha Africa should start. Everyone needs a coach, so people can come back on. Everyone needs a coach. I mean, that's a fantastic way to put it. So on Berkha Africa, if you're listening to us, if you're joining us on our social platform, just Google www.berkhaafrica.com, and then you have one of the things that we do, leadership. We talk about leadership, governance issues, hence, and also most importantly, coaching. So if you want to get more information, you can just reach out to our links, and they will be in the link, wherever you're joining us from, whichever platform, you'll definitely see a link, and then you connect us. And so, Susan, permit me. I want to get more like it's interesting listening to Dr. Irene. I can listen to her on and on and on and on, which is very interesting. I want to find out. She's given examples of some real life examples of people who and how coaching has transformed them, the shift in mind, the transformation, which then project into their circles, their inner circles, and then their workplaces. And so, Susan, can you, from your professional standpoint, people you've dealt with, people you've handled, you've helped, through this coaching, professional coaching, I must say, not anyone, professional coaching. So can you, tell us some life stories, some interesting stories that so listeners can have a picture in their mind what this is capable of doing?
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Senyo. Um, I actually have, I actually invited a former client of mine to join us to share her own story. So once she's ready, we'll let her do that. But I can give you even one recent example of a young lady I'm working with right now. So I love working with youth, and I love working with women. I love working with youth because I love supporting them to find their voices, especially in our African context where sometimes the youth's voice gets drowned by their parents, especially when it comes to choosing a career. So I'm working with a young lady right now, and it's interesting how a simple question or a simple inquiry around exactly what she means by certain words that she's using has supported her to take a step back and really reflect on what it is that she wants as we peel the layers back and delve deeper. So sometimes you find that they're just saying words, without actually really thinking about exactly what it is that it means to you in your context. So I think I will not speak too much now. I will let Na, if she's here, to share her own personal experience on how coaching supported her. And I think I'll do that. Is she here?
I am.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Na.
everyone.
Hey,
Yes.
hi.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Susan. And panelists, thank you. Yeah, so I am Dr. Nakua Ajimfra. In 2017, I met beautiful Susan because I had a very big issue with my business. So I'm an optometrist and I ran Eye Express. When I met her and we talked about it, there was a mind change, a mindset change. I saw Eye Express. Before then, I saw it as a side hustle, but just with talking with Susan, the whole perception changed. I realized that I have to change the way I see it to implement the change I want it to experience. And so since then, everything I do is with purpose. It's with the end in mind. It is to impact life. It is to transform everything around me. So that has been my experience with coaching since 2017. When we talked, I think at that time iExpress had 2 branches with about 4 staff. Now we have 5 branches with 6 outlets, and our staff strength is about 18 as we talk. And so coaching is very important to me. I come to Susan every now and then because it never ends. I mean, it's not like I have a coach today, I don't have a coach tomorrow. It's a continuous process whereby you see transformation every time you speak with your coach. So that has been my experience. It has transformed my career, it has transformed my business, and I am loving it. So everybody really needs a coach. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Everyone needs a coach. Berkha Africa,
Yes.
everyone needs a coach. That's interesting. Thank you, Na, for sharing your story
Thank you so
and
much, Na.
how Coach, first of all, opened her mind to see what is possible. Once she was able to see that, then she translated that into her business as well, and then on she goes. That transformational journey goes on and on and on and on. And that's interesting. Thank you now for sharing. And back to you, Irene. Irene, I'm fascinated with something that you said in your profile. You had to deal with you were a professional coach at the same time you had this trauma in there. I mean, how does that play out?
Okay, yeah. First of all, I came into coaching because of my own traumatic experiences. I'm a lung transplant survivor and a bilateral amputee. I lost both limbs as a result of the complications of lung transplant surgery. And I found myself, in a place where when I go to speak about my story, people come to me. They want to learn was I able to surmount all that I went through and still be able to turn it into something positive. Because I believe that our pain will be in vain if it does not transform into a gain for others. And I wanted my pain, my painful experiences to be transformed into power, into purpose, and into profit, because I discovered purpose through the things that I went through the things that I endured. So that was what shifted me. I had a midlife career change from PhD in nutrition to trauma. And I did trauma informed care, and then came into transformational coaching. And with that, I have been equipped with the skills to help, to create conditions for my my clients to see their traumatic experiences in a different light, to begin to, engage with the pain from a different perspective of something that has come to waste your life, but to transform it, to be able to gain that power, that understanding that pain can be transformed and become a tool that can benefit not only the person who has suffered from it, but also other people. And that's what I bring to the table when I coach trauma, my clients who have suffered from traumatic experiences. It's, there is a way in which trauma makes you feel powerless, make you feel hopeless, make you feel that there is no future of possibilities that exist for you. And with coaching, I'm able to support my clients to see a future not only of possibilities, but of positivity as well, to transform the way they think about their situation and to see something new, something significant that can be birthed through their pain. So I bring in a coaching skill into trauma arena without, doing therapy. However, when I recognize, one of the things that, of course, that I have to recognize is if my client needs therapy, I know what to do because also I'm skilled in that area. But when it comes to my practice, I focus more on coaching because I feel that that is more powerful. It supports the client to take something that had broken them, something that could have, been the final chapter of their lives, and to see the possibility of writing a new chapter, a chapter of hope, a chapter of possibilities, a chapter that actually can impact other people's lives. And that's the work I do with my clients who have had traumatic experiences. So that's how trauma came into transformational coaching for me. Actually, that was what brought me into transformational coaching, the desire to help people to, experience something different, something more positive out of a very painful experience.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. For viewers joining us, we would go for a breather, a short break, and then from there we would we would take your questions, your comments, and then we panelists would help us and answer them as well. So we would be going for a short breather, a short break, and then we will continue our discussion on coaching. Remember, berkhaafrica.com. Everyone needs a coach.
And how many minutes is our break?
Our break will just take, say, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
That has been given to you.
So that is
now,
yours.
The question is, do you have ownership of that? Have you discovered who you are?
I have a head. I bought it from the market. No.
So
it was made by someone. I own it. Hi, I am Austin Game, and I will be listening to Growth and Grind Africa, the transformative talk show, every Thursday on Unique FM at 5 to 6 p.m. Let's learn, grow, transform Africa. Growth and Grind Africa. Live it, learn it, lead it. You are welcome.
Thank you for joining us again. And as our panelists join in, we are here, back Africa, on our monthly leadership dialogue webinar series. And today we are talking about coaching as a powerful tool for personal, organizational, and national development. And it's been insightful hearing Irene and Susan share with us what coaching is and what it's not, and how transformative coaching can be. And so my next question, then I'll take questions and comments from our viewers from social media. So how can owners of businesses and CEOs benefit from coaching? How can they benefit from coaching? We had the story of Adna, but then, yeah, with the business owner, like how can then more of CEOs and business owners then benefit from coaching? So perhaps Susan or can share more for more with us how businesses and CEOs can benefit from coaching, since it's a transformative and thing that we all need. Everyone needs a coach.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Senor. Coaching, and I believe that as a business owner, yeah, can you hear
Yes,
me?
yeah. As a business owner, yeah.
Yes. So as a business owner, apart from the owner themselves receiving coaching, I think what is maybe even more powerful is for them to adopt or adapt a coaching approach when engaging with their staff or engaging with their employees. And what does this mean? It means starting from a place of belief in that person, starting from a place where you believe that the person has everything within them to do whatever is at hand. That approach alone shifts, is more empowering. And I'm going to use an example in parenting. So imagine that your child, for example, breaks a glass. Now, if you shout at that child, honestly, if your intent is to correct the child, would you shout at the child?
No,
No.
no.
So if you're shouting at the child, then what is it that you're doing? Are you seeking to erode the child's self-esteem? There's a term we say in Gestalt that the intent informs the strategy. So if the intent is correction, if the intent is empowerment, if the intent is supportive, then the way you engage will shift. And that shift in perception and how you're seeing the situation, that shift in how you're seeing the staff is actually going to support growth, because it will be a more enabling and a more empowering environment within which your staff will thrive. And if your staff are thriving, then your business will thrive.
Great.
So at the end of the day, that's also the trickle down effect of coaching.
Great. So so meaning that indeed everyone needs a coach. The mother, the father, the CEO,
Absolutely.
the clinician, the doctor, the lecturer, I don't know, everyone needs a coach. And that's what Berkha Africa is also offering, in addition to a leadership and dialogue. On the 23rd, here in Accra, Ghana, at the Marriott Hotel, we'll be hosting CEOs, board executives, and or directors, regulators, both in private and public space where business is done. We're going to talk about leadership. And one of the main thing on the agenda is coaching. And that's going to be very interesting. So for more information, just go onto Berkha Africa. You can join in whether you are in London, Switzerland, wherever you are. You can still join in Accra, Ghana as well, whether in Zimbabwe, in wherever, New York, in Lesotho, wherever you are, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia. You can join us with during this innovative leadership talk. You can see it on your screens, and it's going to be on the 23rd of July 2025. And the venue is Accra, Ghana Marriott Hotel. We have wonderful speakers, both from the public and the private sector. So we have Professor Pesa White, we have Bernice Welbeck, Dr. Bernice Welbeck, we have Mr. Guzitano, Augustus Odum Butitano, we have Alfred Breimer, and we have our one and only coach, Scofrey Nanayao Yeboah. So everyone needs a coach. I'll just take a short some comments from social media, and there is an interesting question that came in. So Maushi Jikunu says, what is the ideal age to have a coach to make an impact on one's life? Is there an ideal age to have a coach?
I think
okay,
any age,
perhaps.
I mean,
Yeah.
even, sorry to barge in, but even young people can have a coach. I've coached people in elementary school.
Okay.
Yes, you will. It's because you're working from the person's map of the world, as it were, right? And I think, and like I said, for me, that is why I enjoy working with youth so much. It's from my own experience. I wish I had had a coach when I was younger to support me and guide me in, to support me to know myself first and foremost. It all starts with self. So the earlier somebody's able to know who they are and what they stand for and what their values are, the earlier they will make the right decisions that support themselves. So there is, for me, so long as the person can understand, the conversation, and there's no end.
Okay. So Irene, what do you have to say to that?
Absolutely agree with Susan, because first and foremost, and this also may apply to the initial question you asked about CEOs. One of the things that coaching does is that it enhances our leadership skills, our communication skills, and emotional intelligence. You are not too young to start learning how to be intelligent emotionally. And I work with teenagers, and I see the difference that coaching brings brings to their lives. Especially, okay, my area is more focused on those who have gone through some trauma. But even those who have not gone through traumatic experiences can benefit from coaching, because it helps you to so what Susan said, to identify your values, to know who you are, what do you stand for. Everybody needs that support, even at a young age. So it's never too early to get a coach, and it's never too late to get a coach.
Okay,
And there is
so that
role that you are playing, career-wise or within an organization, that you cannot benefit from coaching, from the leadership to the lowest person on the rank.
great. So now we add on. Everyone needs a coach. It's never too late to have a coach. Young or old, everyone needs a coach. Oh, that's good. Great.
And if I may just add, Senyo,
Sure,
add,
Irene. Sure.
At the end of the day, it's also about using a coaching approach.
Yeah.
So coaching is not always in a formal setting where there's a coach and there's a client. But if you use a coaching approach in the way you engage with others, you will be coaching really on a maybe 24/7, as it were. So even as a young child, as maybe even 3 years old, even 4 years old, you can use a coaching approach to support them.
Yes.
So, for example, if they have, let's say their room, or they haven't packed their toys, they've messed up their toys, you can use a coaching approach to support them to learn about, consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
That if you want X, then this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all, for me, it's all in the approach and the manner in which you engage with others.
So Marianne Okanse says agrees absolutely with you, Susan. Absolutely. And so Irene, just take it up from there.
Yeah, and that's actually what I wanted to add on to. That coaching then becomes a culture. It becomes a life, a way of living, a way of thinking. That's where we want to get to, where it becomes a culture that you bring into an organization. And studies have shown that organizations that uses coaching culture, that embraces coaching culture within the system, they retain their staff because everybody feel a sense of belonging. This is something about the coaching mindset that allows the person to feel they are seen as a whole person, as creative, as resourceful, as people who are not broken, that needs to be fixed, as a problem that needs to be dealt with. And so we can apply that culture in parenting, that mindset in parenting. We can apply it in our relationship with siblings. We can apply it in our marriages. And one of the things about coaching also is the communication skills that comes with having a coaching mindset. It empowers us to be able to communicate better. And which relationship will not benefit if we communicate better? We
Great.
communicate.
So, yeah. So I'm just I just want to go back to what link it with what Susan just said about there are questions that coaches let out that triggers that change. So I'm much interested in this. What are some of the questions that coaches use that triggers change? What does it how does it look like? I just want our viewers to have a little glimpse of how the coaching session goes. Since you are professional coaches, how you can tweak it to your own professional set, and how do you go about it? And because a lot of people are asking on the comment, where do I get a coach, how does it look like, and things like that. So they need to embrace coaching culture, says Margaret. And so I'm just curious, what are some of these dynamics or ways by which just for our viewers, questions that you imply, or the question that you use during your coaching session that makes people you can even give side example of your client now, how walk us through briefly how it went about, and so our viewers can have a glimpse of what coaching looks like during the session. Perhaps Susan can take a shot, then Irene would follow suit.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very interesting question. One of the characteristics, let me say, of a good coach is the ability to be curious, and also the ability to observe. So our questions are born out of curiosity from our observations. It will be a bit challenging to give you a stock of questions. Yeah. So I gave you the example of the client I had yesterday, where I questioned her around what exactly she meant when she used certain words.
Okay.
So we seek for meaning.
Okay.
And in answering that, our clients are able to gain greater clarity. Like I'm saying, if you are truly curious about your client, you will know what to ask. Sometimes we ask about around what it is. I mean, one of the initial first questions are, what is it that you'd like to talk about? That is a question. Because if I don't know what you want to talk about, where are we starting from?
Exactly.
And what is it about what you want to talk about that makes it important for you right now to speak about this? So
Great.
they are really born out of curiosity. We don't just, it's not as if you've got a list of questions and you're going through one by one by one by one. It doesn't work that way. No,
Okay.
it doesn't work that way.
Great.
It is individual. It is individual. It depends on what the client has brought to you. So if you have a coach, let me say it here. If you have a coach, that sounds like a robot.
AI coach.
Yes, AI coach, that perhaps you better run in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that doesn't show that you are being present with your client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You can't be talking to me about I don't know what, and then I'm asking you a totally unrelated question. That doesn't show that I am listening to you and that I am present with you. So I think I'll pass it on to Irene to see if she has anything else to add.
Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth. I couldn't have said it any better. Coaching happens in the moment. It's in a conversation that elevates the thinking of the client. And therefore, I cannot approach the same client or different clients with the same method or list of questions. Like Susan said, the first thing you want to do is, what do you want to talk about today? Why is this important for you in this moment? And your inquiries are born out of how the client is experiencing the situation right in the front of you in the moment. And so if I finish coaching one person now and you record it, and I coach the next person in the next hour, there is maybe no similarity because they are two different individuals. And that is the skill of a professional coach, to recognize what is meaningful, the power of observation, to be able to note the non-verbal cues, and, that the client is exhibiting, and elicit further clarity about it. You want to lead that client to the place where they gain awareness about their way of thinking, about their own emotions, about what is even happening that they are demonstrating that they are not aware of. And so a professional coach needs to be curious, needs to be observant, and needs to be able to frame their inquiries around the context of what the client brings to the table. So we don't have formulas. We only
Thank
have.
you. Thank you, Irene. And so we
If I may add, before you go on, sorry, if I may add, even if you coach, and it's even not about the subject matter, you can coach two different people on the same subject matter, and the outcome will be different. Because for each person, it depends on how they're experiencing that subject matter.
Exactly.
So many things come into play. The person's context, the person's life. There's so many things that influence. So as a coach, you really need to have sharp observational skills and stay curious.
Okay, so there's this last question that is coming from Levi Corsa, who says, what mindset or systems must individuals and organizations adopt to fully benefit from coaching? What systems or mindsets must individuals and organizations adopt to fully benefit from coaching? So basically, maybe as you rightly said, there are no preempted questions. It should be, if I get it should be very specific to the situation at hand. We don't have scripted questions, as Susan says, and then I think it makes it more genuine if you are listening to the person and understanding, showing empathy, and trying to know the frame of mind of the person, where the person is currently, and what the person wants to see. And so I think that would be for Levi's question. So any takeaways? For me, I'm taking away everyone is a coach, young or old, CEO or non-CEO, everyone is a coach. Oh, what are some takeaways that for Susan, for example, final words for the audience? We go with Susan, and then Irene, and then yes, in that order.
Wow. Final words. Definitely. I believe. I think. Coaching is a powerful tool, and there's something we say in the academy where I trained, that who you are is how you coach, and how you coach is who you are. And for me, that speaks to you as a person. Coaching is one of those professions that challenges you, the coach, on a daily basis to grow. You cannot be a coach and be stagnant. What we also say is that you cannot coach anyone beyond where you are. So as you are coaching others, you yourself are growing. And I think that's one of the things I love. And I don't know what I think. Hate is a strong word, but you are challenged on a daily basis. And when you see the best in others, when you start from a place of appreciation of others, people thrive. And that's the same grace you should give to yourself. Sometimes we find it difficult to see the good in ourselves. But again, as a coach, it also supports your growth. So in what you extend to others, just remember to extend to yourself. Give yourself the same grace that you give to others. So if you see good in others, see good in yourself. If you wouldn't tell anybody that, oh, why are you looking like that? Don't say that to yourself. So coaching for me is it's something that challenges me personally on a daily basis to grow, and also supports me to support others to grow.
Thank you. Irene?
And I think for me, I will come to authenticity. As a coach, I have to model the same principles that I apply in my coaching practice. And modeling it makes me authentic. My client needs to see me in and out of the coaching setting, modeling the same, maintaining principles, maintaining presence, being seeing the person as a whole. And just like Susan said, I need to be compassionate with myself the same way I'm compassionate with my client. And that's part of practicing what I preach, and not just saying, do as I say, not as I do. And so that authenticity that we bring to the table is what I would like to leave with us, those of us who are coaches, and for those who want to be client, that truly as a professional client, I want to leave out a coaching principles in all my relationships, in all my dealings, so that people can see the difference that I can bring to the table, even in the way I live my life. And that is what is going to attract others to see the difference that coaching makes.
Indeed. So coaching, the foundation of coaching is appreciative inquiry, so that we can see the best in people and help them walk through that process. Everyone needs a coach, young or old, rich or poor. Everyone needs a coach. So much. Thank you
Including the
so
coach.
much. Everyone needs a coach. So there are a lot of comments coming in from Levi, from Ivan joining us from Thailand, Anne Margaret, Ken Paul, Marianne, a lot, Maushi, a lot of comments coming. Thank you for joining us. And everyone needs a coach. So if you want one, if you need more information, just www.berkhaafrica.com, and then we will be glad to answer your questions. This is our maiden edition of Leadership Dialogue webinar series. Today's topic has been coaching, a powerful tool for personal, organizational, and national transformation. Join us, Berkha Africa, as we walk the path of changing Africa, the narrative of Africa, one at a time. From leadership, from governance, ESG, coaching, we are here to be of service to you. Join our our social media handles on WhatsApp, on LinkedIn, Facebook, on through our website as well, so you get informed of our upcoming programs. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to Dr. Irene Olumisi and then Susan, the bubbly Susan Anda. My name is Dr. Senyoya Kluchedo, and have a pleasant weekend. Bye.
Across Africa's boardrooms and backrooms, a new era is rising. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. Introducing Growth and Grind Africa, the game-changing radio show for leaders, dreamers, and doers. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Unique 95.7 FM. We bring you real conversations on leadership, coaching, transformation, and strategy. No fluff, just tools to grow, lead, and win in today's world. Whether you're behind the decks, behind the wheel, or at home, this is your moment to plug in, level up, and transform your hustle into impact. From purpose to performance, we've got you. Starting 17 July 2025, live on Unique 95.7 MHz and on all Berkha Africa social media platforms, Facebook, X, YouTube, and TikTok. Growth and Grind Africa. Learn it, lead it, live it. This program is powered by Berkha Africa and L&D Africa, and also live on L&D Africa social media platforms.
Now, the question is, do you have ownership of that? Have you discovered who you are?
I have a head. I bought it from the market. No, it was made by someone. I own it.